This is lesson number 12. Today is February the 22nd, the year of 2026. This is the last Sunday in this month. It kind of threw me off. I was looking at 22nd. I'm like, I know we got another Sunday this month. No, we ain't got but 28 days in this month. But next Sunday is the first Sunday. The topic of today's lesson is Run Towards Holiness. In this lesson, we're coming out of Hebrew, the 12th chapter, the 1st through the 17th verse, and the time is between 60 and 69 AD, places unknown. Today's aim, the facts, is to see what the author of Hebrews had to say to spur Christians on to a life of holiness. The principle is to understand how we need to endure trials, looking to the example of Christ and accepting God's discipline in order to grow in holiness. And the application is to strive for holiness by being at peace with our brothers and sisters in Christ and by enduring the trials of this life. To strive for holiness by being at peace. Being at peace. Peace. That's our key thing. Peace. We need to be at peace. Make peace. Not just live with peace, but make peace.
That's right.
Everybody's not going to be willing to accept you, but you have to be willing to accept them. So make peace with everyone. Whether they like you or not, you're supposed to like them.
Amen.
Might not like what they do or how they operate, but you're supposed to love your neighbors just as you would love yourself. And that's the word of God. That's what God says.
That's right.
God says to love your neighbors as you would love yourself. Not how they treat you, but how you would love yourself. This lesson we're in the book of Hebrews, and we're going to be discussing a whole lot about having faith and holiness. Faith and holiness. They are different. Faith is not holiness. Holiness is not faith, but they work together so closely. You can have faith and not be holy. You can be holy and not have faith. But when you work them two together, you are running the race that God is looking for you to run. You are striving to get to the place that God is looking for you to be, because you're working with the two together. You have faith, trust, and believe in God that no matter what, all things is possible. All things will come to pass that he has already told you about. That's what we're going to be talking about when in the first verse. I'm going to just talk, and I was just going to keep talking and not go through the lesson. First verse, it reads, "Wherefore, seeing we also are compassed about with so great a cloud of witnesses, let us lay aside every weight, and the sin which doth so easily beset us, and let us run with patience the race that is set before us, looking into Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross, despising the shame, and is set down at the right hand of the throne of God. Wherefore, seeing also are compassed about with so great a cloud of witnesses." We had so many people to look at. We had so many that we could be following. So many people that has already shown us how we should live by God. God has promised so many before us. The only thing we have to do is pay attention to the word of God. Listen to what the word of God has already told us. When the world was first started, it was started with Adam and Eve. And Adam and Eve, they had two sons. Sons was Cain and Abel. Now, Cain and Abel, that story, nobody likes Cain, because Cain was so terrible. Cain did a lot of things. Now, Cain was good. Cain did a lot of good things. Him and Abel together, they could have ran this world perfectly. They both was doing things that God wanted them to do, but what set in play was jealousy. Jealousy and admiration set in play. Cain started getting jealous of his brother. Now, it's certain things that go on in life. You can be doing the same thing that somebody else is doing, but for some odd reason it kind of seems like the other one is getting more attention than you, and you're doing the same thing. Well, that's what was going on with Cain and Abel. Cain kind of felt like Abel was getting more attention, and he was doing just as much work as he was. So the thing really, it wasn't that one was getting treated better than the other one, but that's just how it seemed to the other. And Abel is one that we need to be looking at, because the faith that Abel had in God, regardless of the outcome, Abel carried his faith to the grave. Whatever God asked, Abel wasn't looking for any comparison between anybody. Abel just did it because that's what was told. That's what was expected of him to do. We had Abel, we had Abraham, we had Sarah. All of these heroes in the past is people that we need to look forward to. God promised each and every one of them certain things. Abraham, even today, his promises are still being fulfilled, and he's not even here. When God makes a promise to you, his promise will not fail. God's promise will forever stand. God is one that will never go against his word. Now, it says, let us lay aside every weight and the sin which doth so easily beset us, and let us run with patience the race that is set before us. Let us. See, he's not the writer of this book. I don't know who the writer is. So if you're asking me, I can continue to look, but I don't know who the writer is. I don't think it even specified who the writer of this book was. And I don't want to get into an altercation back and forth about who wrote it. I'm just going to stick to what I know. Nobody knows who wrote this book. Okay, but the facts about it is it's in the book. What is written in the Bible is the truth, regardless of who wrote it. So, now, he says, let us, meaning he's putting himself in the same category as us. He says, let us, as if he still has faults. So he's saying we need to set aside everything that has started destroying us in the past. All of our sin that we have already picked up. Yes, we have picked up sin. All of us have picked up. There's nobody in this world that is perfect and free of sin. We've all picked up some sin at some point in our life. So whatever that joyous moment was, because there's no way you're going to sin and you not enjoy it. So whatever that joyous moment was that you sinned in, set it to the side. It's about like runners. Running, and this is what this lesson is about. Running the race towards holiness. So, like runners might practice and get ready to run races, and they'll have weights on their backs, weights on their ankles, weights on their wrists, and they're doing these things to strengthen their endurance, their ability, so that they can get better, faster, stronger as runners. But when it's time to run this race, what they do is they take all of that weight off, so that when they start moving, they move with the quickness. And they can hit that pavement quicker. They can hit that asphalt quicker, or dirt, whatever they're running on. They can hit it quicker because they've built up the tolerance by the weight. So us being Christian, men, women, children of God, we have weight. Now, all of our sin is that weight that has built and strengthened us through time. We go through a lot of bad things. A lot of things hits us that we don't want to hit us. But see, instead of looking at it as being something that the devil put before us, why don't we start looking at this as God is strengthening us? God has put this in my path to grow, not to fail, because we are in a learning season. We shouldn't be thinking about it as a failing thing. The devil is trying to make me fail. The devil put this here. The devil put that there. The devil didn't do anything. If the devil had anything to do with it, God allowed him to do it. So therefore, God put it in your path. And God put it in your path for you to grow. So what we need to do is, at this point, we need to throw all of that weight to the side. But see, check this out now. It says, and let us run with patience. Because after you drop that weight off, if you decide to just sprint right off, you might overshoot your mark. For example, and I'm not talking about anybody in here, could be talking about myself. But for example, you're in debt. You done went and grabbed you a loan from Regional Finance. Done got you a big loan, and now you in debt. You just fighting paycheck to paycheck, trying to pay this off, paycheck to paycheck, paying this off. And every time you pay it off, you look and you still got some more back there to pay. You make your next payment and it look like you ain't put a dent in it yet. And you struggling because every paycheck you have to pay somebody else with. But see, now God allowed you to drop that weight. You threw that collection off of your plate. You no longer have to worry about that. So that weight is gone. Now what it says about let us run with patience, that means don't get so far caught up into the fact that your credit score is now in the 700s because you no longer have that debt on you. And you say, well, there's some things I've always wanted because I was in debt and I couldn't get it. Now I don't have that debt. So now you just run real quick and you jump into it. Guess what? You done fell right back into the same thing that you just got out of. That's why we shouldn't be so quick at it. Run with patience. You know, God done lifted that. So from here on out, as you move with God. You think with God. Whatever it is you're doing, you ask God, God, is this the right path for me to do? Because God has already set you on the right path. It says, run the race that is set before you. Your steps is already ordered. So the only thing that we're really needing to ask God for is to guide us in the path that he's already set before us. Just help us out in the path that he's already set for us. Looking unto Jesus, the author and the finisher of our faith. We already have faith. We was born with faith. Now, whether we implement this faith or not, that's up to us. But see, he's the author and the finisher, which means he's going to keep pushing us through so that we can grow in our faith. Everything that we go through in life, we go through it in life so that we can grow in our faith. The disasters that we go through it so that we can grow in our faith. Who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross, despising the shame, and is set down at the right hand of the throne of God. Jesus endured a whole lot. And see, the thing about it is, it says looking unto Jesus. Stop thinking about all of the negative effects and the negative events that you've had in your past. Stop looking to go back there. Stop looking to do all of these things that you used to do and have fun with, and turn and focus on Christ. Amen. We need to stop thinking about what used to give us fun. How much fun we used to have while we used to do these things. We're trying to get closer to God. So in order to get closer to God, you got to stop focusing on what's behind you as runners to running a race. It's impossible to win a race if you're paying more attention to the people that's behind you versus the finish line. If you're focused on the finish line, you're not paying attention to what's going on behind you. So as long as you're looking behind you, they have every opportunity to catch up because now you're grabbing hold onto that weight that you left behind. Instead, we need to be focused on Christ. And see, Christ, he endured everything on the cross. And the things that he went through on the cross, it had nothing really to do with what he has done. Everything that he had went through on this cross, it was all about us. Jesus faced all of this punishment because of the love that he had for us. And at the same time, he faced this punishment with a smile on his face. Now, I ain't saying literally a smile on his face, but see, in his heart, he knew where he was heading after this. He knew what his prize was after this. And because of that, he was focused more on where he was heading and less about what was going on. Because he knew that the pain that he was going through it because his father told him to come down here and do these things for these people, because the people had no clue what they were doing. So he died, shed his blood, and went through all this pain just for us. It says, for consider him that endured such contradiction of sinners against himself, lest ye be wearied and faint in your minds. Ye have not yet resisted unto blood, striving against sin. Consider Jesus. Think about what Jesus went through. Everything that Jesus went through, he went through it with a motive. He went through it understanding that there was something brighter at the other end. He went through all of this stuff because he knew at one point he'd be sitting right there with his Father on his right hand. He knew because this was his prize. Him knowing that this is his prize, it's like we knowing what our prize is. If we allow Satan to take away where we're headed, only because we like to live in the moment. That's how we live. We like to live in the moment. And because we like to live in the moment, being a Christian 24/7, to a lot of people, it's taken away their life. That's how most people think about this. I know one day I'm going to die and I'm trying to get to heaven, but do I have to live like that now? Do I have to do these Christian-like things now? Do I have to pray to God now? Well, the answer to that is yes. Because now is the only time you really have. Nobody really knows if they got the next hour. Nobody knows if they got tomorrow. But what you do know is you do have now. So do we have to do these things now? Yes, we do. Because now is the only time that we have to get things right with God. You might not have another time to get it right with God. It says, ye have not yet resisted unto blood, striving against sin. Neither one of us, no human being on the face of this earth, has ever fought so hard against sin till they almost died. None of us like sin. None of us like it, but we all have enjoyed it. We've all done a lot of things that is sinful that we really have no regrets for. A lot of us have no regrets for a lot of the sin that we have committed back in the day. We still to this day have not told God to forgive us for a lot of sin that we have done back in the day because we enjoyed it so much and we think that God don't mind. That's why we don't think that we need to shed blood for sin. That's why we don't think that we need to die for sin. That's why we don't think that we need to go from here to the ends of this earth for sin. Because to us, sin is just another thing that we have done. And if it was really that bad, then I would ask God for forgiveness. But as long as we can look at it and say, I haven't hurt anybody, we don't really ask God to forgive us for it. That's why it's imperative for us to ask God for forgiveness, even if we don't think we've done anything wrong.
That's right.
Because even when you don't believe you've done anything wrong, you have done a million things already. From the time you woke up this morning until now, you probably already did 100 things that is sinful. Not knowing. But God knows. That's why we need to go ahead on and tell God to forgive us for anything that we have done and are doing. Because I'm standing here right now and I probably done stepped on so many people's toes already. I probably done said something that somebody didn't like. I probably looked a certain way that somebody didn't want me to look. I might be wearing something somebody didn't want me to wear. And because of that, I've already hurt somebody not knowing. So, for these things, you ask God to forgive you. And ye have forgotten the exhortation which speaketh unto you as unto children. My son, despise not thou the chastening of the Lord, nor faint when thou art rebuked of him. For whom the Lord loveth, he chasteneth, and scourges every son whom he received. If God don't do nothing about the things that you are doing that's not right, then he don't love you. If my mother and father have never kept me in the house when I shouldn't have been going out, they didn't love me. If they allowed me to do anything I wanted to do without getting punished about it, they didn't love me. Now, I know us as children growing up, we look at mom and daddy like, why we got to go through this? Why I can't hang out with them? Why I can't go over there and do this? And see, simplest things, and they'll tell us, no, you can't do this. No, you can't do that. Why not? It's just so simple. Well, because they love you. Mom and daddy do a lot of things raising us because of what they went through in life. Mm-hmm. The things that mom and daddy tell you not to do, they're telling you not to do it because of what they've experienced in life. See, we raise our children based on how we came up. Things that didn't work out for us. If we've done certain things and it landed us into some terrible situations, when our kids come up and want to do the same thing, our answers will be no because of the situations that it landed us in.
That's right.
Not because we're trying to hold you back from doing certain things, but because we know what it could land you in. And see, we don't really like for our children to go into this 50-50 road. You know, maybe you'll win, maybe you won't. We don't want that. We want to know for a fact that whatever it is you're doing, you okay with it. And see, that's how God wants us to be. That's why God chastens us. If God never chastened us, then God is not our Father. If ye endure chastening, God dealeth with you as with sons. For what son is he whom the Father chasteneth not? See, that right there laid it out plain and clear. How can we consider ourselves a child of God if he never do anything about the negative things or the bad things that we have done in our life? If we go against God and he don't do anything about it, how can we call ourselves a child of God?
That's right.
But see, it's these moments that we go against God. I'm gonna say this because this is the season for it. Tax season is here. And we've done everything against God all 2025. The whole 2025, we neglected God. We just went all against God. Didn't want to do anything that God asked us to do. And now tax season is here. We filing our taxes, got these W-2s in the mail, and we done filed them. And now we see this big number on this screen after we done filed our tax, and we waiting. We waiting on that day to get that money in the bank. As soon as that money come in the bank, we got to get rid of it. There's an unexpected bill that just popped up, or the IRS done found something that you done had lingering for years ago, and they say, well, we got to take this. You might get something back and you might not. God has his way of punishing us. And see, many of us look at it as why God got to let us go through this. Why God had to make this happen for us. Why couldn't God give us that? Why God had... See, every time we do something wrong and God punishes us, we want to know why God got to allow us to go through this. Well, it's not God. It's you. If you hadn't have done certain things, God would never have stepped in to make you think about it. And because you was able to say why God, that says that you acknowledge the fact that God existed. And because you acknowledge that God existed, why you didn't listen. So we find ways to always want to put things back on God. And it's not God. It's us. We're the ones that's being disobedient to God. We're the ones that's not listening to God. We're the ones that's going against what God tells us to do. But yet, when we get punished, we want to say, God is mean. God is not treating us right. But it's not God, it's you. But if ye be without chastisement, whereof all are partakers, then are ye bastards, and not sons. If ye be without chastisement, whereof all are partakers, then you are not sons. sons. If you know you're messing up, if you know you're doing wrong, if you know that everything that you've done was just not right by God and nothing ever happens to you, you're not a child of God. You're not a child of God. You might enjoy the things that's going on now because you went out there, you sold drugs and fornicated, you stole, you've done things, you've hopped, you've done a whole lot of things, and God haven't done anything to you. That's because you have never been a child of God. And if you was, you strayed away yourself. God would never put his child out. We'll put it like that. God is the type of father that as long as you are in his house, he will never show you the door. He will never point you outside. He'll never kick you to the curb. If you leave, you left on your own will and accord. Regardless of how bad you are, God will never put you out. You leave because you thought there was something better than God. That's the only reason why people leave from God. Because they think there's something better out there than God. But what can be better than the one that created everything? The one place that you're trying to get to that you're saying is better than God, God created it. So how can you say you're better than the one that created what you're running to? So if you leave, you only left and went someplace else that God created. But see, now you're just not acknowledging God. So you're sitting right on the doorstep and you can't come in. That's how we living with God when we push him out of our life. We can sit on his porch, but we can't come in his house. Not because he's not inviting you, but now because deep down inside you feel unworthy. Because you done pushed yourself out. Now you don't want to go back. Just like how good kids think that mama and daddy has just been terrible and I'm going to leave because mama and daddy don't understand me. So because they don't understand me, I'm going to go and I'm going to do what I want to do. I'm leaving this house. They can't tell me what else to do. And they get out there and they fall flat on their face because now they see reality. And reality hits them so hard, they walk right up to mom and daddy's door, but they would never knock because of the guilt that they feel on the inside. I don't want mom and daddy to tell me how right they was and how wrong I was. So I ain't going to acknowledge that. I'm just going to walk past and let them think that everything is okay. That's how we're going to be to God. We're going to be at the door, but we're not going to ask him to bring us back in because of pride. Furthermore, we have had fathers of our flesh which corrected us, and we gave them reverence. Shall we not much rather be in subjection until the Father of spirits and live? For they verily for a few days chasten us after their own pleasure, but he for our profit, that we might be partakers of his holiness. Now no chastening for the present seemeth to be joyous, but grievous nevertheless afterward. It yieldeth the peaceable fruit of righteousness unto them which are exercised thereby. Furthermore, we have had fathers of our flesh which corrected us. These earthly fathers, earthly mothers and fathers. When we step out of line, they put us in line. We don't like them for doing it, but they do it because of what they know. Not because it's what God said. And I know a lot of them attest to saying it's in the Bible. It says, spare the rod, you spoil the child. I know a lot of them say that. But that ain't why they do it. They do these things because they love you. Parents today punish you. Well, parents back in my days punished you because they loved you and didn't want to see you get hurt. Right. That's why it happened back in the day. Because they didn't want you to make the same mistakes that they made. And we respected them. No matter how many whoopings we may have gotten by mama, daddy ain't never beat me. Mama did. So no matter how many whoopings we may have gotten, we still loved and respected them. But soon as life hits us in our face because of something we did against God and he corrects us for it, now we're talking bad about God. Why did God do this to me? Well, it's the same principle. Mom and daddy did things because of things that they was raised under. You know, the life that they lived, what they messed up in, didn't want us to mess up, so they straightened us out so that we didn't go down the same path, and we respected mom and daddy for doing it. But soon as God do something against us, trying to turn us back towards him, now we want to look at God as he's the monster. God done did this to us. Why couldn't God just let me have it? You know, some things that you be asking God for, you really don't need it. Sometimes we ask God for $1 million and God says you can't handle $1 million. If you could handle $1 million, you would have $1 million right now. Because how many of us already spent $1 million? I probably done spent 10, 20, maybe 100. I've done spent plenty of $1 million. Where is it now? If God gave me $1 million right now, I'd have $1 million in the bank for one day. Tomorrow I might have 900. The next day 800. Because it's in there, that's how you're going to spend it. You're not going to look at prices when you go in the store. See, when God give you things, he give it to you at a stage. He's not just going to throw it on you. God's got to raise you up to that point. So he got to fix it where you understand what it means to have $1. Now you understand what it means to have 10. Now you understand what it means to have 100. Before you get $1 million, you got to understand what it means to have it. Truth be told, the more you have, the more you got to pay out. I thought that when I made more money, I'd have more money. God give you more money to accommodate your new life. So if you're living paycheck to paycheck now, you're going to be living paycheck to paycheck later. The reason you're living paycheck to paycheck is because God accommodated more money for your new life. Most people don't need millions in the bank. If I had millions in the bank, half of mankind might have some of it. Because that's just what type of person I am. I see you in need, I'm going to help out. And I help out so much till I'm bone dry. Because as long as God is giving me, when I have, so do you. And as I used to tell my daughters, I'm a very rich man. And they grew up believing that their daddy was rich. They grew up thinking that their daddy ain't never broke. My daddy got a whole lot. Because I told them, your daddy is a rich man. And see, they've been thinking that when I said rich, I meant I had money. But see, what I meant by being rich is whatever I need, God gonna provide it. And to this day, God has never showed that to be wrong. Because anytime I needed anything, God provided. Y'all know how us men are. We don't like to tell our spouses that we don't have. Our spouse, we can be out and about, and our spouse might call us and say, can you pick this up? We might not have a dime in our pocket, but we'll say, okay. And some way how, we'll get it. Because we'll never tell our spouse that we don't have it. The last thing on our minds is to let our spouses know that we in need. Because we like for our spouse to feel that type of support from us. We like for them to think that I can go and I can be a lady because my man got this. The money I got in my pocket, I can just go and do what I want to do because my man got this. As long as my man ain't told me that he's hurting, I'm good. I'm just not going to spend it all because one day he might need it. That's how y'all women think. Women going to always keep money. I'm going to tell you that now. They're going to always keep money. They might not have a job, but they're going to always have money. It's us men that be falling short sometimes. It says, for they verily for a few days chasten us after their own pleasure, but he for our profit, that we might be partakers of his holiness. Mom and daddy, they chastises us. They punishes us. They steers us in the right. Now, chastisement doesn't always mean beat. It don't always mean beat. Because I can tell you most children will take a beat and they'll keep on going. And they do the same thing that they got a beating for the first time because that whooping didn't really mean nothing. You gave it to me. 2 minutes later, the pain gone. I can go back and do what I did in the first place. Sometimes punishment means I'm going to stop you from doing this, or you can't do that. You can't go here. You can't go there. Just straightening. It's a large lesson. And mom and daddy did a lot of things for their personal reasons. Some of them are, I just don't want you to go out there and get in trouble. Some of them are, you go out there in public, it's not just you that they see, it's me too. So that's why a lot of parents do a lot of things. But God, when he punishes us, he don't punish us for himself. He punishes us so that we can gain more. He straightens our life up so that we can get, not for him, it's for him, for us, so that we can get better. Now, no chastising for the present seemeth to be joyous, but grievous. Nevertheless, afterward, it yieldeth the peaceable fruit of righteousness unto them which are exercised thereby. Not being punished, oh, we enjoy that. We go and I mess up. We do what we want to do, and we have fun doing it because, as I said before, sin is fun. If it's not fun, you wouldn't do it. And because we didn't get punished for it, we gonna have fun. We gonna enjoy that day because we got away with it. Ain't nothing happened. But what did you learn? Are you gonna change from being that type of person because you haven't gotten punished? Now, what it says here, but grievous. It's guilt. Nevertheless, afterward, it yields the peaceable fruit. After getting punished. Growing up, you ain't going to understand it. As a child, as the scriptures say, you think as a child. But when you become an adult, you put away those childish ways. So, as a child, you thinking mama and daddy is just bad. They terrible. They don't like me. They don't want me to grow. They don't want me to succeed in life. Mama and daddy holding me down. But when you become an adult, boy, I'm glad mama and daddy kept me away from doing all this stuff. Ain't no telling what I'd have been like if mama and daddy hadn't stopped me from doing a lot of things. Right. I can tell you right now, a lot of things that mom and daddy stopped me from is the reason why I was able to join the military, the reason why I was able to go to college, the reason I was able to be standing here just like I am today because of what mom and daddy did. I am so grateful and thankful that mom and daddy didn't allow me to do what I wanted to do when I was growing up. Because all my friends was. That's what I used to say. Everybody else do it. Why I can't do it? And what daddy would tell me, I ain't everybody else daddy. I'm your daddy. And I'm glad of that. Because mama and daddy kept me away from bad situations. I never had to wonder what was going to happen by the end of the day because I already knew that by the end of the day I was going to be in bed asleep because mama and daddy ain't let me go. Didn't have to wonder if the police was going to bring me home because I was already home. Didn't have to wonder if I was going to get shot out there in the streets because I was already home. Mama and daddy made sure that the negative effects that could happen to me didn't happen to me. And if anything did happen to me, they would know because I was home. That's what daddy used to tell me. As long as you in this yard, I can protect you. But as soon as you cross that street, nothing I can do about it. You go over there to that man's house and you cause problems, I can't do nothing about it. But if you come over here and somebody else come in this yard, then I got you. So as long as we stay with God, In God's sight, in God's view, God's got us. But if we push God out of the way, where's our protection? We're standing on the other side and didn't allow God to come in. Where's our protection? God can't help us if we don't pay him no attention. Wherefore lift up the hands which hang down and the feeble knees, and make straight paths for your feet, lest that which is lame be turned out of the way, but let it rather be healed. You need to make your own way. Don't always be a follower. When you see things need to be changed, make a change. When you see that your life from the past has been disastrous, and everybody behind you is on the same path because of what you've been doing. They're following you because they thought that you was the one. They thought that you was the man to follow. And because of that, their lives is jacked up too. But see, the thing about it is that their life's not going to be as bad as yours because they're doing things based on what they thought was right because they followed you. So you're responsible for everybody that thought you was on the right path. So what he's telling us here is lift up your hands which hang down and the feeble knees. Get yourself right. Put yourself back on the right path. And make straight paths for your feet. Every step you take, make it towards the right direction. Make it towards Christ. That's why I say keep your eyes on Jesus. Make your step closer to Christ. Everything that Christ has ever asked you to do, make your step closer towards that. Do more and more of what God asked you to do and less of what you want to do. Stop letting other people think for you. See, that's the biggest problem that we have as man. We let other people think for us. Other people say, well, if it was me, I'd go out there and I'd do this. Well, the truth to that is, if it was them, that is what they would do. But what it is it's not them. It's you. So you need to say, well, I'm not you. And because I'm not you, this is what I'm going to do. And what you need to be doing is what God asked you to do, not what man say do. And make straight paths for your feet, lest that which is lame be turned out of the way, but let it rather be healed. Everything that is broken in your way, change it. If anything in your path is messed up, change it. See, there's a lot of things after you turn to Christ. Don't think that your life gonna get better. After you turn to Christ, don't think that trouble ain't gonna follow you. After you turn to Christ, I'm gonna tell you that your life is just gonna be that much more worse. Because the devil ain't gonna bother anybody that's already working with him. If you're on the path of righteousness with God, the devil is on that same path trying to take you off of it. The devil is not going to be standing there watching you succeed. The devil is going to be trying to pull you away from succession. The devil is not going to sit there and watch you make it exactly the way God wants you to go. He's going to be throwing all kinds of obstacles in your path. So whatever's in your path, make it right. See, God can take all your goods and your bads and make it work for your good. He can take everything that is standing in your way and make it work for you. The only thing you got to do is allow God to do what God do best. And that's lead you. And as long as God is leading you, whatever was messed up in your path would be fixed before you get to it. Follow peace with all men and holiness, without which no man shall see the Lord, looking diligently, lest any man fail of the grace of God, lest any root of bitterness springing up trouble you, and thereby many be defiled, lest there be any fornicator or profane person, as Esau, who for one morsel of meat sold his birthright. For ye know how that afterward, when he would have inherited the blessing, he was rejected, for he found no place of repentance, though he sought it carefully with tears. Follow peace with all men and holiness. Make peace with all men. As I stated before, make peace. Don't live in peace. Make peace. Don't just say, well, I ain't going to go over there because they doing some stuff that I ain't want to participate in, so I'm going to sit here and I'm going to be peaceful to myself. No, make peace. Go amongst these people and show them how respectful you are. Show them how much of a man of God you are. Show them that you don't have to avoid certain people to call yourself a child of God. Because how can you call yourself a child of God if you're trying to avoid everything out there? God didn't avoid negativity. Christ didn't avoid negativity. When things was going wrong, Christ stood right in the midst of them. They told Christ not to speak on the Sabbath. What did he do? He spoke on the Sabbath. He told them not to heal on the Sabbath. What did he do? He healed on the Sabbath. Right in the mix. You can't prove yourself to be godly if you ain't moving. You can't prove yourself to be right with God if you're trying to avoid everybody else. You got to get in the mix of them. Looking diligently, lest any man fail of the grace of God, lest any root of bitterness springing up trouble you, and thereby many be defiled. Looking carefully at your current situation. Looking carefully at what's going on around you. Paying close attention to your surroundings to make sure that you don't fall prey. Life has a way of grabbing you when you're not paying attention to it. See, you can be right up in the midst of a whole crowd, and one thing might tell you, you shouldn't be here. But if you ain't paying attention to it, you're going to fall prey to everything around you. See, while I was in the military, I did a whole lot of stuff. I went out to clubs. I did a whole lot of things. And see, the whole time I'm going to clubs, I didn't like going to clubs. I didn't like it. I didn't enjoy it. I only did it because all my boys did it. We all got dressed up and went to a club at 11, 12 o'clock and pay all this money and be home by 2, 3. But the things that we did there, now this is when God started telling me to make it make sense. Because as we got dressed up and went to this club, what I was doing that didn't make sense was the same thing that me and my boys could have did at the house. All we did was sat around in the same huddle, talk to each other just like we could have did at the house. Listen to music, and then went home. And we paid $20 to do that. Not to mention if you was thirsty, that was going to cost you too. So we literally went broke to do what we could have did at the house. So I never enjoyed it. And it was God telling me, you know what, you shouldn't be here. This isn't you. This ain't where you belong. It took me a long time to really let God actually tell me that. Now I've been listening to him the whole time, but I was still going, sitting back, being bored, But it took time for me to actually, that's that patience thing. That's that patience. It took time, because if I would have just jumped out and just stopped going, then I probably would have been back there today, because I'd have just stopped going and I'd have been trying to figure out what was I missing. But because you was patient with God, God showed you all of the errors that you could have been through. Y'all don't know, I done seen a whole lot of things that I could have been in if I'd have continued on that same path.
Definitely.
But because you're being patient with God and you allow God to unfold everything in front of you, God shows you, look, if you'd have still been doing this, this could have been you. This could have been you. That could have been you. And a whole lot of time it's been with people that I probably would have been hanging with too. Now it says, lest there be any fornicator or profane person as Esau, who for one morsel of meat sold his birthright. We all know what Esau did. We all know Esau. Esau was, I'm ready now. Give me mine now. I want my inheritance now. I done did all of this and did all of that. I'm tired of living here because I don't want to listen to you no more. That's how us children was growing up. That's how us kids was growing up. And nowadays, that's how the children are. Mm-hmm. I don't want to listen to you. You can't tell me what to do. I ain't got to stand here for this. I can leave and go on my own. Just give me everything that belonged to me and I'll be gone. And just like what his father did, many of us as parents today should do the same thing.
Some mistakes you'll never be able to recover from.
You're right.
Well, that wasn't Esau. Esau sold his birthright.
Esau sold his birthrights. That's it.
Yeah, what he did there.
Esau sold his birthrights.
Yeah.
He sold his birthrights for a morsel.
Giving away.
He sold his birthright. Now, if we would allow our children to think on their own, and we say, you know what, since you think you know so much, go ahead. If we as parents do that today, we're not parents. If we allow our children to just make up their own mind and do their own decisions. Now I'm going to tell you something about being a child, okay? If you're under 18, mom and daddy say do something, you better do it. 20, 21 years old, mom and daddy say do something, you ain't got to do it. But the Bible say, children, respect mom and daddy. Children, listen to your mom and daddy. Children, do what mom and daddy say. Children do that. But now, it says, honor your mother and father. That's all people. They're not specifying children there. It says honor your mother and father. So you don't have to do what mom and daddy say, but you do have to respect mom and daddy. You do have to respect the authority that mom and daddy have. So if mama and daddy say, I don't want you going out of this house after 1 o'clock, you better honor that. Because if it's not yours, you better do what mom and daddy say. That's honor and respect. But now, if mom and daddy say, I don't want you dating this person, and you 21, you ain't got to listen to that. Hey, just keep it in the back of your head, though, because mom and daddy told you that for a reason. Keep it in the back of your head. You ain't got to listen to that. But do respect their wishes. So if they say don't date them, don't bring them to the house. Because mom and daddy ain't want to see them. Because guarantee, if I told my daughters, I can say that because I got 3 of them. If I told my daughters, I don't want you dating this person, it's because I know something about them. If you bring them to my house, daddy might lose his religion. That's me. Daddy might lose his religion because I don't want him nowhere near my family. That's daddy. So you keep that away and just keep in the back of your head that what mom and daddy said. But you still honor them. That's right. That's right. So once you become that adult, you put away those childish ways as an adult. So the Bible tells us to honor your mother and father. Now, just like verse 17 says, for ye know how that afterward, when he would have inherited the blessing, he was rejected, for he found no place of repentance, though he sought it carefully with tears. After you found out what they was talking about to be true, it's too late to take it back. Yeah. But the only thing you can do about it now is fall down on your knees, pray to God, cry, wallow around in tears. That's the only thing you can do about it, because you can't change what has already happened. You can't change that. If I done told you that you was going to fall flat on your face if you did this, you went on head out there and did it and you fell flat on your face, you can't come back to me and say, please take it back, because it's already done. The only thing you can do now is learn from your mistake. And understand that the mistake that you made could have been avoided had you to listen. Yeah. And see, that's what God is teaching us. If we don't listen to God now, and we fall on our faces later, We can't come back and say, God, take it away. That's just a learning experience now. Now we know we better listen to God next time.
That's right.
I'm done with my lesson. I done went overtime.
Lord.
I'm done with my lesson. I'm going to turn this over into the hands of superintendent.